reason I ended up, or I decided to do this workshop, is because at the beginning of the year, everybody's like super excited and fired up, like, yes, new year, new me, let's make all these changes. But people tend to do the same things that they've always done, make the same mistakes, but expect different results. So I'm here to help you guys, to support you, to show you what kind of things you should be focusing on to actually reach your health goals, to really reignite that spark, to increase that energy, to get your mental focus back, to lose that holiday weight in a more effective way than what you've been doing it in the past. So I thank you for signing up. Thank you for showing up for yourself, and I'm excited to share this information with you. I do have a lot of notes here. I want to make sure I've got so much information to share with you. I want to make sure that I'm covering everything that I intended to. So when we start off the new year, now some of you may be making New Year's resolutions, other people may have given up on that, but what research shows is that for, I think it was 75% of New Year's resolutions are given up within the first 20 days of the year. So if you've set yourself a resolution, it's already the 3rd of February, the chances are super high that you've already let that fall by the wayside and you're sort of back into old patterns. So I want to offer you some guidance, offer you some support in this webinar, or in this workshop, to help you stay on track, to actually help you to get you to reach your health goals for the first time, or maybe the first time in a very long time. So what qualifies me to speak to you guys about this? I have had my own very long, very intense journey with health. I was not always into health and fitness and health and wellness and all that kind of thing. But I did spend about 15 years struggling with chronic inflammation and digestive disorders. So I'm very familiar with all the signs and symptoms and everything that comes with that. I'm very aware of all the challenges. And through the 15-year journey that I had, I learned what to do and what not to do, what works and what doesn't. And that is now how I serve my clients. I work as a nutritionist and functional medicine coach, and I actually specialize in working with people who have digestive disorders. So things like food sensitivities, IBS, your gas, your bloating, ulcerative colitis, lupus, Crohn's, all that kind of thing. And majority of my clients are actually people who currently have an autoimmune disease, and we work at managing it and in most cases reversing it. And you will learn in this webinar why that's the case. Like, even though I specialize in digestive health, why my clients have autoimmune disease, because they are directly linked. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that to you in this webinar. But why I'm sharing this with you is because I understand the struggles that you have right now. Over 15 years, like, I was super unhealthy. I was one of the most unhealthy people that you could come across. Like, my diet was awful. I spent at one stage 8 months where I ate literally takeout for every meal because I was living in a boat and we didn't have a kitchen. I was binge drinking like 5 days a week. I wasn't exercising for a large portion of my 20s, like all the stuff. I didn't have time. I didn't have money. I wasn't interested, all this kind of stuff. Like, I get the challenges that you guys are facing, but I've also learned how to overcome them. And that's why I'm sharing this information with you guys. So you don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and hours and hours and hours trying to figure this out yourself. I've done all of that, and now I'm condensing it all for you, or summarizing it and giving you the key points that you need to know to actually help you take your life from a 4 or a 5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. I'm here to give you this information to help you reignite that spark. And what I'd learned through my challenges, through the health journey that I had taken, my digestive issues got so bad at one stage. It wasn't just certain foods I was eating. Sorry, then my dogs are going crazy. It wasn't just certain foods I was eating that was triggering me, but it got to the point where my abdominal pain got so bad that even drinking water was causing me issues. And that's when I knew, like, okay, I need to do something now. Like, I can't keep going on like this. And I was seeing a conventional doctor, and all they did, they kept putting me onto antibiotics. And they were telling me that I'm stressed. The issues that I'm having in my stomach and everything is just due to stress. And I was like, well, I'm 23 years old. Like, how stressed can I be? What is stressing me out is the fact that I'm walking around with excruciating pain every day. Like, fix that, please, because that's where my stress is coming from. But they kept putting me onto antibiotics. I actually realized that I wasn't in a good space when I was 14 years old already. Like, I was constantly exhausted. And it had been going on for so many years that I kind of just accepted it. And I didn't have the normal like puberty symptoms in high school. I didn't have bad acne or anything, but all of a sudden when I was in my 20s, so I'm about 21, that's when my health issues really started to like become aggravated and show their face even more. So when I wasn't receiving any help from conventional medicine, that's when I started to do my own research. And I dived into absolutely anything I could find about digestive issues and things, and I realized how important the gut was. And that's also when I ended up finding functional medicine, and that is truly what helped me sort my problems out. All the doctors I was going to, like I said, they said it was stress and put me on antibiotics. They tried to get me onto the pill to sort my hormones out because of my acne, which I never ended up going onto. And you know, when I ended up actually fixing my gut, my symptoms, my acne cleared up within 3 weeks. And that is something that I'd lived with for about 5 years at the time. Within 3 weeks, just by working on my gut, my symptoms cleared up. So, you know, between my personal experience, my international qualifications, I was trained at some of the best schools in the US for functional medicine. And then I've also had a lot of sort of external training. I spent quite a bit of time living in China with the Shaolin warrior monks, learning a lot more about the mind-body connection and how powerful our mind is in healing. And all that information, all that knowledge I've gained over the years, all that experience I now put into helping my clients to do exactly the same as what I did, to heal their body the same way that I did. And through all the work I did, I ended up losing 50 pounds. My energy skyrocketed. My acne cleared up. This that I have right here is actually a flippin' mosquito bite right now. So excuse me if I scratch during this workshop. But I experienced healing in a way that I never thought was possible for me. My anxiety went away. My energy, as I said, my energy increased, and the weight that I was carrying around just fell off. When I was following what I thought was a healthy diet, when I was exercising 2 to 3 hours a day and nothing was working, I wanted to give up. And then just by starting to work on my gut and other areas that I'm going to discuss with you today, the weight started to fall off naturally. It was absolutely incredible. And honestly, my entire life changed. And it can for you as well. And I talk about your life changing. I don't talk about your health changing, because your health is your life. If you are living with a 6 out of 10 health, you can't be living with a 10 out of 10 life. So when I talk about your health, when I talk about changing your life, it's in reference to your health. When your health is not on point, when your health is suffering, your relationships suffer, your job suffers, your relationship with your kids suffer. Like every area of your life, everything that you hold valuable to you is going to take a knock if you are not looking after your health. And we don't realize this. We end up putting so much time, so much effort, so much attention into everything else, and we completely neglect ourselves and the only thing that, or the most important thing, the most valuable thing to us, which is our body and our health. And unfortunately, for a large majority of people, especially when we're younger, we completely take it for granted. And it takes a serious health issue, whether it's for us personally or somebody very close to us, to actually give us that wake-up call. And I don't want you guys to wait till that time. There's a huge misconception that just because I have not been diagnosed with something, I am healthy. I speak to people all the time, all the clients, potential clients, all the time saying, I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong. I'm healthy. I don't have any energy. I'm really fatigued. I'm bloated, but I'm healthy. And people say that because they haven't been diagnosed with a condition. But the absence of disease does not mean the presence of health. And I want you guys to really get that. Just because you haven't been diagnosed with something yet doesn't mean that you are healthy. And because we've lived a certain way for so long, we have forgotten what it feels like to be healthy. We've forgotten how we're supposed to be feeling every day. And I want you guys to remember that. I want you guys to experience that again, because the moment you get a taste of that, your life is going to change. Lifestyle changes are not going to be difficult. You're going to want to do it because you have a taste of what it feels like. So I ask that you guys watching to make a declaration now, to make a commitment to yourself now that for the next 90 minutes, you are going to be focused, you are going to be open-minded, and you are going to take to heart what I'm sharing with you, because this works. This is not just my experience. This is not just the experience of my clients. The things I'm going to teach you is well researched. It is new medicine. It is foundational to health. It's not an old school way of thinking. Our medical system is unfortunately broken. So what I'm going to teach you today has the potential to change your life. I ask that you stay committed, not to me, but to yourself. If you want results that you haven't had, you need to do things that you haven't done. So be open-minded to what I get to share with you guys today. Now, how this is going to work is I want to start off this workshop with immediately tackling the biggest objections, the biggest obstacles that come up for you guys. Because in order for you to be committed, which I've just asked you to declare your commitment, in order to do that, you need to shut your back doors. You need to get rid of your excuses because that no longer serves you. And I'm not saying that they're not valid, that they're not real for you. Of course they are, but they no longer serve you. So I'm going to address the biggest concerns that I sort of come up across most often. And actually, you know, Renee and Carol, I'm going to ask you ladies to unmute yourself, and I would love for you to share with me up to this point, like what has been the biggest thing that stands in your way for prioritizing your health or making changes in your health? Because I would love to actually like coach you on it and give you some guidance on that straight away.
I would say mine would be my business, my new business that's taking a lot of my time. So, you know, exercise and that kind of stuff kind of goes to the wayside. I have good intentions, but I just don't get there.
Yes.
I walk, but it's not enough.
So it's time. You have a lot on your plate, and then we tend to sort of be so busy and so focused with everything that is a has to do, and we kind of neglect our health or put that as something we will do when life calms down a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's definitely one of the objections I plan on covering today, or one of the obstacles. Carol, I don't know if you are at the computer at the moment. If you are, do you want to share?
Yes, so I'd also go with time, time being the biggest issue. And yeah, just with the job that I do, being a consultant in the IT industry, is you're always at the beck and call of the client. So it's mainly time, and then of course stress. You know, when you feel stress and fatigue and all that stuff, you just don't spend the time on your health that you should. And yeah, so yeah, I'd go with time is the main thing as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I get that. I really do. The busier we get, the more stressed we get, the less we look at our health. And that's actually where we need to look at it more often. And I can speak for myself as well, out of my own experience, even being in the health and wellness industry, I completely neglected my stress. I kind of put it down and I said, well, it's just a part of life. It's just something we need to accept, and it's the way that it is. Until about a year ago, I had a really bad experience because I had neglected myself so much. I ended up getting really sick because of the level of stress that I was dealing with. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. Like, hang on, this is something that I really need to look at a bit deeper. And I'm grateful that that happened, because now I've implemented things that have helped me manage that stress, and I've been able to coach and guide my clients around stress management a lot more. So thank you guys thank you ladies for sharing your biggest sort of obstacles that are standing in the way for your health. And because both of you mentioned time, like, let's jump onto that. I get it. Time is a very, very real thing. It's very precious for us, and we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And what I can tell you now is it takes me 10 minutes to make and eat and clean up my incredibly nutritious, healthy, delicious breakfast. 10 minutes a day. I cook 3 times a week. Now, I love food, but I don't actually like cooking very much. For me, cooking is not a something that relaxes me or relieves or calms me down. It is, in the past, I definitely used to see it more as a chore. So it was something that I didn't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen doing, even though I love eating, I love healthy, I love convenience, but I don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen cooking. So I've been able to find ways to work it into my lifestyle, that cooking, that eating healthy, that living healthy doesn't have to take up a lot of time. When we look at living a healthy lifestyle, we think that we need to do a 180-degree change in the way that we eat. We need to be spending hours in the kitchen every day cooking these super fancy plant-based meals, all this kind of stuff. We think we need to spend an hour in the gym every day, and that's not the case. Like, there are ways that we can make health and healing easy and convenient for you guys, and particularly when I do like one-on-one programs, that's what we do. What I do with my clients is I see what their lifestyle is like and how we can fit healthy into the lifestyle, but it doesn't have to be time consuming. And when we look at food, like, imagine if I had to say to you now, oh, I know I need to shower, I know I need to clean myself every day, but I just don't have the time. Like, you guys are going to think I'm insane. Like, bathing and washing ourselves, cleaning ourselves is a normal part of living a healthy life. But if I had to say to you, I don't have the time, I would love to, I know it's important, I just don't have the time, you would think I'm crazy. And it's exactly the same way with food and eating. Like, we don't prioritize that into our day. We want something quick and convenient. I'll just grab a bag of chips. I'm just going to grab a burger on the way home from work. Like, I'm going to buy the packaged meals that I can just throw in the oven. It's going to take 10 minutes. But it would be that it's the same concept as if we say, I don't have the time to shower. I don't have the time to brush my teeth. Whether you have the time or not, it's something you make the time for because you know you need to do it every single day. And it doesn't have to take hours. I promise you it doesn't. And there's really, really, really great methods. We look at batch cooking, we look at meal prepping, all this kind of thing that you can do. I consider myself a very healthy person. I cook 3 times a week. There are so many options. So yes, time is very, very precious. I don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I don't have an hour a day or 2 hours a day to be spending in the gym. So there's many different ways that we can look at this. Movement can be 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You know, there's so many options, but time is something that we can bend to fit into our schedule. The other objection I hear all the time is that I've tried everything. I've tried absolutely everything, but nothing works. And I'm here to say to you that if you have tried absolutely everything and it hasn't worked, well, first of all, you haven't tried absolutely everything because you would have found something. Our body is made to heal. Our body is made to feel better. It's made to survive, sorry. So if it's not, if something is going wrong in your body, we need to figure out what that is and customize something for you. Why it's not working for you is because you've tried every quick fix out there. You have tried every supplement out there. You have tried every diet out there. But it's a generalized diet. It's not a personalized diet for you. You have different lifestyle factors. You have different stresses. You have different food choices. You have different bacteria. You have had different antibiotics growing up as to what I have had. So how can you and I expect to have the same, use the same food, use the same supplements and get the same results? It's not going to happen. Our bodies need, like, we are all very individualized. And our treatment protocols need to be just as individualized as we are. So if you feel like you've tried everything and there's no more hope left for you, it's because you haven't found what works for you. But I promise you, there is something out there. We just need to listen to what the body's telling you. And it's not a mystery as to what works for you. It's not a mystery as to what you need. You just don't know how to understand what your body is telling you. Because our body talks to us in signs and symptoms all the time. But I'll get to that with you guys. Another objection I hear all the time is I don't have the money. And I get that, guys. It is very, very, very real. What I can say to you with regards to that is how many of us end up spending copious amounts of money every month on health insurance, on medical aid, on all these things that would be classified as a payment or like a grudge payment. When you look at your health at the moment, it's not a payment you are making, it's an investment. We invest in things that we value so that we can see returns on that. Now, we are willing to invest in things like health insurance. Now, I'm not saying that's bad. Like, of course, I've got like a hospital plan and everything for emergencies, but we invest in this stuff so that it can cover our chronic medication in case one day there's, you know, something that we need. We're planning for the future, but it doesn't serve us right now. And if we can find the money to invest in something, or not invest, to pay for something like that, why not find the money to invest in something that's going to reap like rewards right now? A lot of the conditions that end up affecting us in older age actually start to develop in your 20s. Things like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's start in your 20s. So why wait until you get a diagnosis, until you need to rely on that medical aid, that health insurance, for a severe, severe condition, when there are things you can do right now to make a change? And it doesn't have to be a $5,000 program that you're investing in, but invest in yourself. Whatever your goal is, whether it's health, you know, we're talking about health now, but whatever your goal is, find somebody who has done that, who has achieved that, and learn from them. Invest in yourself and learn from them. Show up for yourself. I've got many coaches, right? I don't have a health coach right now. I wish I did when I was struggling with my health 5 years ago. But I have coaches for the areas of my life that I want to take my life, or that area, to the next level. I have a business coach, a leadership coach, a spirituality coach, all those things. I've done a lot of work on it myself. But I know to reach my goals, I need somebody to help me get there. I need to go to the next level. And that's investing in myself. So whatever that looks like for you. And I remember when I signed up for a program a little while ago, a transformational program. And I think, Renee, you were actually in it as well, in HCL. It's incredible. And when I signed up for this coaching program, I didn't even know exactly what it entailed. But what I did know is that I needed it. For something in me, when I was learning about what this is, I knew that I had to do this. That is what I needed to take my life to the next level. My health, my career, my relationship, everything. I knew I had to do that program. But it was a $5,000 program. And I didn't even have a job at the time. It was before I was coaching full time. It was in the middle of COVID. Like I said, I didn't have a job. There was no job in sight that was coming my way. And I ended up putting that whole course onto a credit card. And I phoned them immediately after I made the payment. I phoned them and I said, listen, can I please start in January? This was like in the November. I said, please, can I start in January? But even though I couldn't do the course right then and there, I knew if I didn't invest in myself then, I wasn't going to do it at a later stage. So I put that money on a credit card. I showed up for myself. And I promise you now, 2 days later, after I had signed up, I got a phone call. I was freelancing at the time. I got a phone call for a job that month. And by the time I started the program on the 4th of January, I had paid off the entire course in full that was sitting on my credit card. Because guys, the point I'm trying to make here is when you show up for yourself, the world shows up for you. God shows up for you. The universe shows up for you, whatever you resonate with. When you show up for yourself and show that you are ready to take the next step, to take your life to the next level, the world rewards you for that. And it doesn't have to be a $5,000 program that you're investing in, whatever you are looking to do. It can be a $200 online course. I've got an online program for $47, whatever it is. Like, invest in yourself and make that commitment. And the last objection I'm going to bring up to you guys is that my circumstances are challenging. I have an event coming up. It's just not the right time for me. There's a lot of birthdays this month. It's not the right time. I've got kids, you know, I've got young kids, I'm tired. I don't want to cook 2 meals. I just don't have the time for myself. If my circumstance was different, I would be all in on looking after my health. But guys, your life is never going to calm down. Maybe when you're 60 or 70 and kids are out the house and you've retired, you know, then maybe life's going to calm down a little bit for you. But by that time, as I said, you know, Renee's shaking her head, it doesn't, because you're such an ambitious person. a go-getter. So there's always things we're going to want to do. And your life might look different at that time, but it's never going to, you're never going to have nothing to do. How boring would life be? And don't wait for that time. Like, look at your circumstances. Absolutely anything is possible. So you don't have to shift your lifestyle completely. Work to see how you can fit healthy things into your life, how you can fit routines into your life instead of trying to fit your whole life around a specific diet or a specific workout plan. Because what happens is we are all waiting for the perfect time. When things calm down, I'm going to make changes. One day when I'm living in this house, or when kids are out the house or whatever, then I'm going to start meditating. Then I'm going to start journaling. Then I'm going to start eating healthy meals. After this month of birthday parties and weddings, then I will start eating healthy. But guys, those events are never going to go away. There's going to be birthdays and celebrations all the time. I hope there's birthdays and celebrations for you guys all the time, because that makes life fun. There's always stuff that we want to do. So learn as soon as possible how to navigate that. My life is full. I am constantly out with friends. I am at the beach, I'm hiking, I've got birthdays and weddings and all these things that we celebrate. And I'm not in a position anymore. I used to be where I would say, sorry, I can't go for lunch with you. I'm on a diet. I wouldn't go to the beach because I wasn't feeling very confident. Like, I allowed what I was doing to take over my life, and it was robbing me from a lot of things. And now I don't worry about when Christmas comes around. I don't worry about when Thanksgiving comes around, because I know how to navigate these things. And it's far easier than what you think it is. So I appreciate your circumstances, and they're going to change. They're probably never going to look like how you want them to look, but figure out how it is so possible to fit the things that your body needs to be healthy into the life that you currently live. And it takes small changes, very, very small steps for you guys to start implementing now that are going to have huge, huge, huge results. Doesn't mean you have to go vegan. It doesn't mean you have to spend 6 hours or an hour a day, 6 days a week in the gym. So anyway, what I do want to share with you is that all these objections I covered, they don't get to be like bigger than, these don't get to be your excuses. Your vision, your reason, your why for wanting to be healthy gets to be bigger than all these objections if you actually want to see real positive changes. So where I'm going to dive in now is actually, Renee and Carol, if there's anything specific that you want me to cover in here, let me know. And then I will make sure I touch on it. You can just pop it in the chat and I will make sure that I cover it before the end of the webinar. I want to make sure you're getting exactly what you were hoping to get out of this. I actually meant to ask you that in the beginning. But in order for you to be successful, I promise we're getting into the good stuff now. But in order for you guys to be successful, you need 3 things. First of all, you need a reason or a vision, a why, a very clear why you are doing this. And that why needs to be bigger than your excuses. You need to know where you are going. What is the end result you are trying to achieve? A lot of people will say, I want to lose weight. I want to increase my energy. Losing the weight's not going to do anything for you. What you're really looking for is the confidence. The confidence that comes with losing weight, even the increased energy, feeling better, looking better, all those things give you more confidence. I was speaking to a new client this morning, and what she wanted was more energy. It's not the energy that's motivating us, the one for energy. It's the fact that she wanted energy to spend more time with her kids. She wanted energy to actually fulfill what she needed to do at work instead of pushing through the rest of her day after 12 o'clock because she couldn't keep her eyes open. That's what she wanted, and that's what you have to get clear on. Like, your reason for doing it is not just to lose weight. What is it? Why do you want to lose the weight? How is life going to be different for you? Get clear on that vision, on why you are doing it. You need to know the end result. Like, what is the destination? Imagine if you got into an Uber and you said to the Uber, take me west. Okay. Does he go west for 5 minutes? Does he go west for 5 hours? Like, how is he supposed to know, or you supposed to know, when you reach your destination? If you just have a broad idea, like, I want to lose weight, I want to increase my energy, I want to feel better. Okay, you want to feel better. What does feeling better look like for you? What healthy looks like for you is different to what healthy looks like for me. So be clear on what that means for you. In order to be successful, you need to be so stuck on that vision and that why. Second of all, you need a structured plan to follow. Otherwise, you just wander. You waste time, you waste money. You need a plan to follow. And that plan's going to look different for everybody. But again, we can bring it back to the Uber. Like, how is he supposed to, when you've decided what your destination is, you're driving from Florida to California, like, you know what the destination is, but how are you going to get there? You can't just jump in the car and drive and hope that you get there. You want the fastest, most efficient, traffic-free way in order to get there. If I want to fly from South Africa to the US, there's steps, there's certain things I need to do. I need to get a visa, I need to book a flight, I need to get leave, I need to get an Uber or somebody to take me from my house to the airport to catch my flight. There's no reason, there's no point in me booking an Uber to take me to the airport when I haven't even booked my flight. So a lot of people have the pieces of the puzzle, but they're putting it in the wrong, like the wrong order. And that's why you're not achieving your results. You feel like you're doing all the right things, but it's not working because you're not following the right structure. And all it takes is a bit of refinement. So you need your reason, you need a structured plan so you're not just wondering. And thirdly, you need support and accountability. I cannot hone on that fact enough. And that support and accountability can look different for everybody. It may be your friends and family. I always say you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're around a bunch of healthy people, you're going to start making healthier choices. It could be a Facebook group. It could be a local community, whatever that looks like for you, but find support. It could be a coach. It could be, an accountability partner, whatever that is, but you need support in order for you to reach your health goals. Because motivation only lasts so long. We cannot rely on our motivation every single day because we're going to have good days and we're going to have bad days. Just see. Sorry, someone was trying to get in here. We're going to have good days and we're going to have bad days, guys. And you need somebody to be strong and offer that support on our bad days. Otherwise, that's when we give up. That's when we forget about our vision. I remember like a couple years back, my mom and my brother climbed Kilimanjaro. And I was supposed to do it with them, but I was in China at the time, so I wasn't able to do the training. Now they had a vision. They knew they were going to summit Kilimanjaro. And they trained. They put so much work, so much hard work, I think for like eight months, possibly even a year, to reach their goal, to get them to the point that they're able to do this. You don't just climb the highest mountain in Africa. It takes a lot of work to get you there. And the day they were supposed to summit the mountain, as they were like embarking to summit, my brother couldn't. And he just said, I'm done. Like, Mom, you need to go on without me. I've come this far, but I can't. I've got nothing left in me. I cannot take another step. Go, I'm waiting here. Like, I can't. And that is when she ended up calling his guide, his support, and he whispered something in my brother's ear. I still don't know what it is. And my brother got up, and together with the guide and my mom, they helped him reach the top of the mountain. But he was depleted. He wasn't interested. He had given up. He had forgotten about that vision. He couldn't see it anymore. All he cared about was how he was feeling in the moment. And if he didn't have that support, that guide and my mom to support him, he wouldn't have summited. He would have come this close to his goal. And imagine how he would have been feeling for the rest of his life, knowing that he wasn't able to summit. And by the time they got to the top, they took their photos, they did a few minute celebration, everyone was exhausted, and there was time to descend. And my mom said she can't. She's finished, she can't take another step, she needs more time, she needs to recover, she can't move. And by that time, my brother had now, started to feel a bit better. And together, him and the guide carried my mom for a large portion of that until they had gotten back to base camp. So she was strong when my brother needed it. She was his support system. And when she needed it, he got to be her support system. Otherwise, neither of them would have made it up and down that mountain. And that's a huge goal. Like, they were crazy committed. And even for the most committed people, you need to have support, because not every day is going to be a good day, guys. So again, in order for you to be successful in whatever health goal you have, whatever business goal you have, you need to be clear on your reason, on your vision, on your why. You need to have a structured plan, which is going to look different for all of you. And you need to have support and accountability. So let's get into the good stuff now, the stuff that's really going to make a difference for you. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I love it. Let's look at disease. All right. So I want to tell you about disease because we need to avoid this. And the best way to avoid it is not to run away from it, but actually to run to health, run to optimal health. If we are chasing health, we're going to inevitably avoid disease. And what is disease? Or signs and symptoms? We can't look in the mirror in the morning, as much as I wish we could. We can't look in the mirror in the morning and see exactly what's going on inside our body. I wish we could, but we can't. The only way our body can communicate with us and tell us what's happening is through signs and symptoms. So a lot of us feel like our body's failing us, and we get angry when we start getting like bloating and joint pain and rashes and hairs falling out, all this kind of thing. And we get angry. We feel like our body is failing us. But all it is it's trying to communicate with us. We just don't understand what it's saying. And once you can understand that, you become the master of your own body. You know what to implement, what steps to put in place. So signs and symptoms and disease, all it is in its simplest form, it's an imbalance in one of the core body systems. That's all it is. We need to live, when we are healthy, we're in homeostasis, we're in balance. And when we have signs and symptoms, when we have an illness, there's an imbalance somewhere or a miscommunication between our cells. Our cells, these body systems I'm talking about, they're all connected. It's a network, and they're constantly talking to each other. And when there's a breakdown in that communication, like, if you try phone someone over like WhatsApp or something and there's a faulty internet connection, you're only hearing every second word. How are you supposed to get the full message? And that's exactly what's happening in the body. So if we can understand where the miscommunication is, when we can understand where the imbalance is, then we are able to treat that, fix it at the core, at the source, and our symptoms go away. Our body is made to heal. We just tend to interfere and get in the way. So the first system I want to talk to you about that is absolutely vital is your gut and your digestive system. In 97% of autoimmune conditions, there is the presence of leaky gut or gut dysbiosis. Hippocrates said back in the day, whenever it was, I don't know, but Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut. And that is so true. But the good news is that all healing gets to begin there too. So if you find yourself ever working with a functional medicine doctor, integrative medicine doctor, and anybody of this nature, the three systems I'm going to talk to you about today, no matter what you are going into their office for, whether it's fatigue, stress levels, anxiety, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, whatever it is, I can guarantee you now, if they come from this background, they are going, if they know what they're doing, they are going to be looking at these three systems. The gut is the #1 place. So the three most, the most common gut issues that people tend to experience or conditions is what we call leaky gut. And that is when your gut becomes permeable. Now, the thing is, with all these conditions I'm going to explain to you, the symptoms are always the same, the outward symptoms. So if you are experiencing bloating, brain fog, anxiety, joint pain, lack of energy, food sensitivities, acid reflux, anything like that, there is a very, very high chance that you are dealing with one of the next things that I'm going to talk to you about. So pay some close attention. Leaky gut. I don't know if you guys heard of leaky gut before. You want to pop it in the chat? Yes? Yes? Okay. So for anybody who's not familiar with it, our colon, our gut lining is very, very thin. It's one cell layer thick. And it's cells that are really, really closely like packed together. And what happens with leaky gut is these cells start to separate and create these big junctions. Your gut becomes permeable. And then all the food and the toxins and everything in our gut that should be coming out in our pee and our poop is then getting into the bloodstream. Now, we don't want this. Like, you shouldn't have a piece of tomato floating around in your blood. Okay, obviously that's going to cause a reaction. And this leads to things like inflammation and a whole bunch of things that I'll get into with you guys. But leaky gut is one of the number one conditions that we find in majority of autoimmune diseases. Secondly, you have gut dysbiosis. And all that means is there's a bunch of different bacteria that live in our gut. We have more bacteria in our gut than what we have cells that make us human. It's insane. Like, we are basically walking, talking, really intelligent bacteria. There is more bacteria in us than there are cells that make us. It's insane. And we have a very symbiotic relationship with these cells. So what that means is that the bacteria, we give them a nice, happy home to live. And in turn, they provide it with a host of different like benefits. But when we have too much bad bacteria and not enough good bacteria, then things start to go wrong. Then we get more leaky gut, we get more inflammation, all this kind of thing. So gut dysbiosis is another one. Another one that's common is a yeast overgrowth like Candida. So if you have joint pain, acne, if you find you get UTIs or yeast infections quite frequently, then you're generally dealing with an overgrowth of Candida. And this is highly, highly likely in people who drink a lot of soda, who eat a high processed diet, lots of sugar. There was a high chance that you are dealing with a Candida overgrowth. And fourthly, you can have something or like a parasite that lives in you, inside your gut. And we can be living with parasites for 5-10 years without even realizing it. We'll have these outward symptoms, but we don't realize that it's a parasite. Another one that comes up is something called Sibo, and that is also an overgrowth of bacteria, but in our small intestines. It's a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and that can cause things like bloating, food sensitivities, all this kind of thing. So those are the things that we look into. We see what your symptoms are, and the good thing is, even though from your symptoms, you may not be able to tell exactly which one you're dealing with. And most often you're dealing with a combination. And often it takes a bit of testing to figure out exactly what it is that's going on with you. But before you even go down the road of testing, there's a specific like protocol that most of us can implement to actually help fix the gut. And only if you are not seeing like a full reversal of your symptoms, I can promise you now 80 to 90% of your symptoms are going to go away just by fixing that. And that little bit of extra work gets to be done through some testing. You can do something called the GI map, and you can order that through your doctor. They'll send it to the house, you do the test, and that's like an exact x-ray blueprint, everything of what's going on inside your gut. And you can do a bit more targeted treatment. But the thing is with the gut, so let me explain a bit about how we end up getting all these conditions. Medications that we're taking is a huge factor in our gut health. Your over-the-counter like anti-inflammatory drugs, not just your chronic medications, but your over-the-counter drugs, your headache tablets, your antibiotics, all these things completely destroy the gut. Stress, I know both of you ladies had mentioned stress, but stress is a huge, huge, huge interference with our gut. It kills off our bacteria and it contributes to increasing leaky gut. So the more stressed you are, the worse off your gut is going to be. Toxins, so pesticides on our food, in our soil, in the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, all these toxins are destroying our gut. And unfortunately, with every year that passes, there are more and more and more toxins being leaked into our system, into our environment, and into our bodies. Another thing that is a huge destroyer of gut is unfortunately our diet. Things like gluten, things like dairy are absolute destroyers of your gut. And one of the things that I want to mention to you guys when we're looking at gut health, because I'm giving you a bit of a background on it, but like one of the the reasons we actually, oh wait, I'll get to that when I talk about the protocol, sorry guys, but those are the sort of things that interfere with our gut health. Our medications, alcohol is another one. When we are drinking alcohol, again, it increases our leaky gut, it destroys our bad bacteria, and our good bacteria, sorry, and feeds the bad bacteria. So all those things we need to look at and see what is present for you and what do we need to shift? How can we repair the gut? Now, there's certain supplementations and things that you can take, and this was a huge mistake I made with healing my gut. I spent so much money on supplements, but I didn't end up adjusting my diet. I didn't look at my stress. So it was kind of like flushing all that money down the toilet, because as much as I was taking L-glutamine and all these kind of things to fix the gut, I wasn't changing my diet. I would eat a piece of pizza, and all the work that L-glutamine's done, it's gone and destroyed it straight away. And the important thing with when we start to take out these triggers, because the only way to heal your gut is to take out things that are triggering the gut. Now, this bacteria that lives inside you, the good bacteria, feeds off of fiber. Fiber is found in your fruits and veggies, but the bad bacteria feeds off of sugar. Sugar found in often some fruits as well, but sugar found in processed foods, even your carbohydrates, your rice, your bread, your pasta, all that kind of thing is feeding the bad bacteria. So when you're eating burgers and French fries, like how much fiber is actually in that as opposed to how many sugars that is feeding the bad bacteria. And then these guys grow and grow and grow and grow. And the good guys are getting so weak because we're starving them. We're literally starving them. We're not giving them enough fiber. We need around 25 to 35 grams of fiber. And the average adult in the US gets between 12 and 15 grams a day. So how can we thrive if we are not feeding, if we are starving the good guys and feeding the bad oaks all the time? It's not possible. And the good bacteria actually manages the bad bacteria, because we're always going to have bad bacteria. We just don't want it to overgrow. And the good guys like keep it in check. But when we don't have any good guys, like this just grows and grows and colonizes your gut and causes havoc. And this is where a lot of our food cravings come from, because now you've got these trillions of bad guys in your gut that's screaming at you, I need sugar, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. And we have all these sugar cravings, and we bring it down to willpower. And we're like, well, I just, I've got this sugar addiction. I can't help it. I don't have any willpower. I'm trying to stop, but I can't. But it's because, like, physiologically, your body is screaming at you for sugar. So it's not a willpower conversation. It's that your body is asking you for it. Like, you're actually just giving it what it wants. But the wrong guys are talking to you. We need to change that conversation in your gut. But just as you have those sugar cravings, when you start to feed the good bacteria and get them to colonize and grow, and we start to starve off the bad bacteria, I promise you now, it is so possible to actually crave broccoli, to crave spinach, to feel like you want to lose your mind if you can't get a big bowl of greens in front of you right now, the same way as you feel about having sugar. It is possible to feel that way about vegetables. I sit here now and I can honestly eat a bag of baby spinach like I do a bag of chips. And I can promise you that was not the case for me like 5-6 years ago. But my body craves it. It screams at me for fiber. And it's the same thing as possible for you. And I'm going to get into how we can do that. So we got to look at feeding our body the right food, what it needs to thrive. So let's look at sort of some of the conditions, or when we talk about the gut, what I find fascinating is that, like, a lot of our hormones are actually produced in the gut, the neurotransmitters. So when you are dealing with high stress, if you feel like you have a lot of anxiety, some mood disorders, a lot of irritability, what else, like that sort of mild depression, and you feel like it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, the place to look is in your gut, because 70% of your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, is actually produced in the gut. And this is why it blows my mind that when people are suffering with mental health conditions, we give them antidepressants, we give them all this stuff, and we say, well, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. But why are you treating something in the brain when the problem is actually in the gut? Like, if your happy hormone is being produced in the gut, why are you trying to fix a chemical imbalance in the brain? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So that's where we come down to root cause medicine and understanding why you have the symptoms that you have. And it's fascinating. So when you start to heal your gut and you get that good bacteria that actually produces serotonin, when we start to populate your gut with that, all of a sudden you start to feel happier. And the amazing thing, there's so many things I can teach you about the gut and the brain. But one of the things is that lining of your gut, that permeable lining, when you are in the womb, the tissue that your brain develops out of is the exact same tissue that your gut develops from. So there is a massive, massive connection between the gut and the brain. We call it the gut-brain axis. And this is just one of the ways that it's connected, but it develops from exactly the same tissue. So when you start to have leaky gut, when those cells start to separate and become permeable, the exact same thing starts to happen in your brain. Except we don't call it leaky gut. It's called a degradation of the blood-brain barrier. Your blood-brain barrier starts to become permeable. And then all of a sudden, these toxins that have been released into your bloodstream, as the blood goes into your brain to start feeding your brain, there's so much permeability that toxins are then getting out of the bloodstream into your brain tissue. Your food is getting out of the bloodstream into your brain tissue. And again, I'll use the tomato. You don't want a piece of tomato sitting in your brain. Like, obviously, you're going to feel anxious and irritated because there's shit sitting in your brain that shouldn't be there. But when we start to heal the digestive lining, we start to heal that blood-brain barrier as well. We also have something called the vagus nerve that goes from your brain down into the gut. And it's this like sort of big nerve that comes down into your gut. And then in your gut, it starts to spread out. The vagus nerve, it actually, when you translate it, it translates into the wandering nerve. So you've got all these little nerve endings in your gut. And we think of the brain as the master organ that sends all the messages to the gut, to the heart. It tells the body how to behave. But for every one message that the brain sends the gut, 9 messages are sent from the gut to the brain. Like, that's incredible. So if you are eating foods that are stressing you out, if you are eating foods that's causing a lot of toxicity in your gut, and that bad bacteria actually produces their own toxins, it's called endotoxins. So if there's a lot of chaos, a lot of toxicity, a lot of stress in your gut, what kind of messages are being sent to your brain? It's messages of stress, of threat, of survival. And that's going to create anxiety. It's going to create stress. So yes, you have your external stresses, but you have your internal stresses as well, which heightens it. When we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling stressed, we automatically just put it to the external stuff, but you don't think of how much of this is actually from internal stuff. So there are 5 different steps to healing your gut. We call it the 5R protocol, and that's what I run through with clients. But for you this year to improve your health, I want to encourage you to focus on number 1, your gut health. And there are different ways that you can different things that you can start to implement little by little. But if you really want to transform the health of your gut, we use the 5R protocol. And what that stands for, the first R is remove. So you want to remove anything that is triggering a negative response, anything that's triggering your immune system, that's triggering the bad bacteria. We want to remove that. Now, there's a few different triggers. We know sugar is not a great one, but that's one that we can still manage in the right way. But some of the most common triggers is dairy, gluten, sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, alcohol, and medications. Now, I'm not telling you to get off all your medication, please. You've worked with your doctor, this is, just for information. You get to use work with your healthcare team before you change anything in your diet or your medications. But those are the things that need to be removed. And now the mistake that I made is I was still eating gluten, and that's why it took me so long. I wasn't eating a lot of it. Only occasionally. I'm not going to write, on a Saturday, I'm really good all week, but on a Saturday, I'm going to have my nice fresh bread rolls from the store. It's just once a week. Or on a Sunday, it's a pizza. I would just have a slice of pizza. I don't feel bad because now I don't have any bloating anymore. I don't have any anxiety. So sure, I can manage a bit of gluten. I'm okay. But that's not the case. There's no such thing as a low gluten diet, unfortunately. You can have a low fat, you can have a low carb, you can have a low protein, high protein. You cannot have a low gluten diet. Because the thing is, and when I talk about the next system, we can get a bit deeper into this, but when we are eating gluten now, a lot of us are sensitive or intolerant to gluten, and I'm not going to get into that now. We do that in my coaching program. I don't have time to get into it with you guys now, but when we are, most of us are sensitive to gluten. Like, it doesn't serve us in any way at all. Even if you feel like you don't have digestive issues, I can tell you now, gluten is causing damage in your body. You just have not had any outward symptoms. And some people can manage it better than others, but it does not help you. And what happens when we eat gluten, our immune system recognizes it as an enemy, as an invader. So it creates a lot of inflammation to fight this. And what it does, if I can put it into simple terms, it almost creates like little bullets to attack this gluten, to kill it. But now we have leaky gut, so the gluten is no longer contained in our digestive system. It's now leaked into our bloodstream. And we have these little like gluten bullets floating around looking for the gluten to kill it, to get rid of it. It's these antibodies that are created towards gluten. And this causes so much inflammation. It gets our immune system on high alert, and it exhausts our immune system. Now, you need to avoid it for a certain period of time in order for your body to stop producing those antibodies, those bullets. Now, think of if you've been eating gluten your whole life, your body is constantly, or maybe not your whole life, it's been doing it, but since you've had leaky gut, all this kind of thing, your body's been producing these antibodies or these bullets. So when you stop eating gluten for 2 or 3 days, your body doesn't stop producing them. The inflammation doesn't go away because it's still on high alert, expecting this to come in. It takes 21 to 28 days for your body to stop producing those bullets. So you may be on this low gluten diet where you like 7, 8, 10 days in, no gluten, feeling, looking fantastic, and you have one little cookie. Or unfortunately, some of us consume a lot of gluten that we're not even aware of in sauces and spices. I have found gluten in my toothpaste before. I have found gluten in a can of tuna before. So it's important to read labels, but there's a lot of hidden gluten, and every time we consume it, our body produces these antibodies again, these bullets, and our inflammation is never going to calm down. It's the same thing with dairy. Now, dairy, we can get away with a lot more than gluten for a lot of people, but it's something when you're working to calm the inflammation, to calm the immune system, which I'm going to get onto soon, you need to eliminate those specifically for a certain amount of time, at least the 21 to 28 days for your body to recover, to calm that inflammation down. So anyway, sorry, I'm drifting here, but back to the R. The first R is to remove. We need to remove our triggers. The second R is to replace. We need to put the nutrients in to feed the good bacteria. Removing gluten, removing dairy is not healing. It's a prerequisite to healing. So once you've removed the gluten and removed the dairy, you need to actually give the building blocks to repair. If you're going to build a house on a mountain that's covered in bushes and trees, just removing the bushes and trees, like you can't build the house there, you need to remove it. But just removing the bushes and the trees, it's not going to build your house. You need the bricks, you need the concrete, you need all that stuff, you need the steel. So now we need to replace those bushes with the actual material to build the house. And it's the same thing. Like, we need to put in the nutrients that our bodies need to feed the good bacteria, to repair our cells. Thirdly, you need to re-inoculate and repopulate. So what that means is taking things like probiotics on a very consistent basis. And probiotics is all it is good bacteria, because now you've killed off this bacteria. Like, they have a shelf life, or they have a lifespan, should I say. They don't live forever in our gut. They live for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then they die. But in the time that they are living there, they need to reproduce and create more bacteria. But now we've killed them off. We've killed the good guys off. So by taking probiotics, we are putting new bacteria in there and giving them a chance to repopulate And because we're putting the probiotics in and we're eating lots of fiber, we're eating the rainbow, we're eating variety, we're feeding them as we're putting it in, and we're helping them grow big and strong and can get rid of the bad bacteria. Is this making sense so far? Okay, all right. So fourthly, we need to repair. We need to repair the gut lining. Now we've removed, we've replaced, we've put the good bacteria back, but how are we going to repair the gut lining? And that takes certain supplementation to do. There's things, and you can take some notes here. Powders like L-glutamine is an amino acid of protein. Vital, vital, vital for gut health, for repairing the gut. Probably one of the strongest things you can take. Collagen. Collagen is incredible for gut health. But what I will say with those two specifically is it's about consistency and dosage. If you are taking it 3 times a week, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. It needs to build up like layer for layer for layer. We can't just take it once or twice and expect it to work. And that's again where I went wrong on my journey. I wasn't being consistent with my supplementation. I was taking L-glutamine here and there and taking it for a month, feeling better, and then stopping my supplements, stopping my routine. I would get like 80% of the way there to healing, and then I would stop, like, oh, I feel amazing. And then I would stop, and then I would get all the way, all that work I'd done would undo itself because I never got over the hump. You need to get over the hump. So the supplements I'm going to talk to you guys about, I recommend taking for 60 to 90 days. You will feel an improvement before that. Like, it's not going to take 60 days to feel better, but to get over that hump, I recommend generally 60 to 90 days. But again, speak to your healthcare professional, speak to your doctor. I don't know your story. I don't know what other medications you're on, so you need to be careful with this. Supplementation is powerful, guys. So you got your L-glutamine, your collagen, vitamin D, so important for your gut health. Zinc. Zinc is amazing for your gut, repairing your gut and boosting your immune system, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The other one you can take for your gut is herbs, things like licorice root. You can take it in tea, you can take it in powder form, you can take it in tinctures. But some of my favorite herbs to use for healing the gut is licorice root, something called marshmallow root, and something called slippery elm. Absolutely incredible for gut health. Now, something else I also really enjoy to soothe the gut while it repairs, and this is particularly for people who are dealing with acid reflux or silent reflux, things like that, is taking aloe vera juice. But not the ones you get in your local grocery store that have like sugar and sweeteners and all this stuff added to it. I'm talking about pure aloe juice. Whether you make it at home, I've done before because I got a lot of aloe. It was really time consuming. It was delicious, but it was super time consuming. It's not something I'm going to do very often. I won't lie. But at a lot of your health stores or online, my favorite one is something called Lily of the Desert. So delicious. It's pure aloe juice with a bit of lemon juice added to it, and having like half a glass twice a day, amazing for your gut, amazing for acid reflux, really helps to hydrate you. It's good for the skin and soothe the gut during the healing process. So those are the things we recommend doing for gut health. And lastly, the last R is rebalancing. We want to rebalance your mind. We want to rebalance your lifestyle, so you don't continue to make the mistakes that got your gut into a bad state in the first place. And that is when we look at things like, what are your stresses? What are your external stresses? How are you dealing with stress? How can we rebalance your body? How can we rebalance your lifestyle and your mindset to make sure that this doesn't happen to you again, all this work that you've put in? All right, so that's basically the 5R protocol for gut health. Next system we're going to look at, I don't want to go like crazy over time, but there's a lot of information I'm sharing with you, so stay on for as long as you can. If you're watching the replay, watch it in like 3 different sessions if you need to. But the second system I'm going to share about with you guys that you need to prioritize this year, and we're very much aware of this for a while now, is our immune system and inflammation. Now, inflammation is a very normal response for the body. It's necessary for our body to survive. Any reaction our body has is not dangerous. It's there for a reason. We need it. The problem is that all these reactions that we have now become chronic, like they're happening too often, or that we don't know how to switch them off anymore because of the world we live in at the moment. So when we look at our immune system, again, we think of taking vitamin C, we think of taking zinc. Now we know we need to take vitamin D for the immune system. And we talk all the time about boosting it, eating oranges, all this kind of stuff. But how often when we are trying to boost our immune system, do you think, all right, let me look at my gut. I need to boost my immune system. I'm going to start looking at my gut. Unless I'm talking to somebody who's in this area, who's in this field, I have never, ever, ever heard somebody say that. And the reason I bring this up is because 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. That is crazy. We think of this immune system just something like floating around the body, doing what it needs to do, but 80% of it lives in your gut. And it makes sense because everything we eat is actually foreign. Like, it's not you, it's not part of your body. So when you eat an apple, your body doesn't know that this is an apple. It's like, okay, let's break this down. Let's analyze this. Let's see what this is. And then we get to decide, is this a friend or is this an enemy? And then we tell the immune system, okay, don't worry about this. Like, this is needed. And then we'll put the nutrients where they need to go. But our body doesn't know we're eating an apple. It doesn't know we're eating a banana. It has to assess this and figure it out. And on the food that we are eating, there's pesticides, there's toxins. Like, we are constantly bringing toxins in. So it makes sense that our first point of entry, when it goes inside our body, we need to have a defense mechanism there, because if we have a parasite, if we have a virus we're ingesting, our immune system wants to take care of that and attack that before it can get into our bloodstream and into our other organs and cause further damage. So 80% is in your gut. And again, the bacteria in your gut are communicating with your immune system. There's something called GALT, your GALT tissue, gut-associated lymphoid tissue. And that is where these immune cells live, and that is where the communication is. And when these cells are weak, the communication is not clear. This is also why when we're eating gluten and dairy and it's escaping from our gut into our bloodstream, our immune system recognizes it immediately. It's looking out for this, and it sets off this immune response. So when you're looking to boost your immune system, which all of us should be doing constantly, or not even boosting, but strengthening your immune system, you need to look at your gut. As I mentioned, the immune system communicates all the time with the rest of our body. And even though majority of it lives in our gut, all our organs have like their own sort of little immune system. Your liver has its immune system, your lungs have an immune system, and that is constantly communicating, always. It's almost like, if you think of how whales communicate in the ocean, we don't understand it. They can communicate with each other being kilometers and kilometers and kilometers apart through frequencies that we can't even hear. And it's the same thing with the cells in our body, like the immune system's communicating to each other. Our skin microbiome communicates with our gut microbiome, the bacteria. This communication is happening all the time, and we want to make sure that communication is clear. So whatever we are doing to boost or to support our immune system, we need to support the inflammation, or we need to support the communication. And that is done through certain supplements and things that I will talk to you about. One of the best ways for us to support our immunity is through what we call phytochemicals or phytonutrients, polyphenols. And all that is, to put a really crazy term into simple terms, is it's the color, the compounds that cause our fruits and vegetables to have color, that give them that vibrancy, that sweetness, everything. And what phytochemicals are, they're compounds found in plants, like I say, that give them their color, but it's also the plant's immune system. The plants that, like, your plants growing outside your food, your fruits and vegetables don't have a way to defend themselves from bugs, from pesticides. When they get damaged by rain, or they get damaged by wind, or whatever the case is, like you see the leaves growing back on your plants, on your trees all the time. How do you think that happens? Like they have to have their own repair system. And that is their phytonutrients do that. But the amazing thing is when we eat phytonutrients, we get the same protective benefits. So one of the best ways to increase your immunity, to strengthen your immunity, is not focusing on just having vitamin C and vitamin D and zinc, but is consistently getting more phytonutrients in. So we talk about eating the rainbow, getting variety and color, because yes, it does feed the good bacteria, but it helps to send the correct messages to your immune system. So we want to eat the rainbow. We want to eat variety of color in fruits and veggies. Another thing with our immune system is when it's created these antibodies towards gluten, or these bullets towards gluten or dairy, and this is one of the reasons why it's important for you to look at. There is something that happens in the body called molecular mimicry. So if we look at it with gluten, what that means is that, let's bring this in. What that means is that there's certain tissue in the body that is structurally very similar to gluten. On a molecular level, the protein is very similar. And in the body, that is our thyroid. So if you are someone who's dealing with thyroid issues, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, anything, it is like vital that you get off of gluten as soon as possible. Because what happens is now we have these bullets fighting off gluten, and it's traveling through the bloodstream trying to find the gluten molecules, and all of a sudden it passes the thyroid. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's gluten, and it starts to attack the thyroid because it can't tell the difference. That is molecular mimicry. So your immune system is constantly on high alert. That's why we need to get off the gluten, get off the dairy, get rid of those bullets so your thyroid is no longer being attacked. And the same thing, as I mentioned, the same thing happens with dairy. But when we continue to consume foods that trigger us, there is constantly an inflammatory response. And all that inflammation is basically the immune system realizing there's an enemy. Let me send a lot of soldiers, a lot of white blood cells to the area that is being affected. Let's kill the enemy, let's fix it, and then I'm going to turn the inflammation response off. I'm going to call the white blood cells back, and everything's going to be fine. But now, because we have constant triggers coming in, that immune response is always on. It's always fighting the gluten, it's always fighting the dairy, it's always fighting the toxins, it's always fighting everything that's coming in. So it doesn't get a chance to rest, it doesn't get a chance to switch off. Think of if, like, our immune system has one job, and that is to keep us alive. That's it. So if you are given one job and you don't get to, like, that's the only thing you are focusing on, and for 5 days, you are working overtime, like constantly. You don't sleep, you don't eat, you don't pee, you don't rest. All you do is that job for 5 days straight. How are you going to feel after 5 days if somebody comes to you? And I'm using 5 days just as a little example, but how are you going to feel after 5 days when somebody communicates with you? Somebody asks you a question, you're going to be like, you're not going to be able to comprehend what they're saying. You're not going to be able to communicate because you are so exhausted. You can't function. You can't comprehend what they are saying. You can't get your words out. Imagine if you had to get into a car after not sleeping for 5 days and try drive. You would crash if you could even get the car started. You are so exhausted, you can't tell what's going on. And that is exactly what's happening with our immune system. But it's not 5 days that it's been working overtime. It is 5 years, it is 10 years, it is 15 years. So it's lost, it's so exhausted, it's lost its ability to turn that inflammation response on and off. It's confused, it doesn't know anymore. It's like, well, I've been fighting for 10 years, like there's no reason for me to stop fighting now. This is just what I must do. This is the job, I'm going to keep going, keep going. And that's what's happening with your immune system. So we need to remove those triggers so that your immune system has a chance to calm down, to rest, to get some much deserved rest. So when a threat does come around again, it realizes that it turns on inflammation shortly, acutely, and then it turns it off again. Like, we got to treat our bodies with some love here, guys. Imagine if you had to work 5 days in a row or 3 days with no sleep. You're not going to like the person very much who's making you do that. You're not going to feel very good. But yet we do that to our body all the time. And when we talk about self-love, when I talk about self-love, this is the kind of stuff I mean. I don't mean to just go have like a nice candlelit bath. Yes, those things are great. But show yourself some love by looking after the systems that are legitimately keeping you alive. I hope this is landing. I hope you're understanding the importance of what I'm sharing with you. And I will explain how all these things tie into your symptoms, just as I did with the gut. But this inflammation is what's causing a lot of problems. And I've mentioned it now a couple times accidentally. I keep saying boosting the immune system, and then I correct myself to strengthening the immune system, because we don't want to just boost it. I don't like the term boosting, because think of like, if you don't have any energy, if you want an energy boost, you have a cup of coffee. That'll give you an energy boost, but it's like short-lived. It's effective for a little bit of time, but it doesn't naturally make your mitochondria produce more energy. It's short-lived. So when we're taking things like vitamin C and zinc, yes, they're great, they're effective. When we talk about boosting the immune system, I don't want to boost mine. I want mine to be super strong and resilient, like from the ground up. And that's what we need to look at doing. And that's when we eat the rainbow, these phytochemicals, we rebuilding the immune system, we clearing out that communication from the ground up. And this is something I've been learning a lot more about recently. I'd shift my focus onto it. And I'm working a lot more with my clients on this. And there's a term called immunorejuvenation, where we are not boosting the immune system, we are fixing it, we are changing it. At a cellular level, we are getting our genes to communicate differently, to produce different immune cells. Like, it's incredible. And what's amazing when we're looking at immunorejuvenation, every minute you have like 1 million new white blood cells, your immune cells being produced. Not every minute, every second. You have these, I'm speaking wrong now, it's every minute you have 1 million white blood cells being produced, your immune cells. And just because they are new cells doesn't mean that they are healthy cells. And if I know every minute I'm having new immune cells be produced, I want to make sure they're super strong, super cool cells that are going to keep me alive. But what happens is when older cells, damaged cells, when they die or when they get old, they send messages to these new cells to tell them, to educate them how to live in our body. And to put this in like easy to understand terms, as a parent, when you have a child, when a child is born, you don't just leave them to like, all right, figure out the world, survive, do what you can to make the best of this. You teach them. You tell them how the world works. Don't touch that plate, it is hot. Don't run across the road. You teach them how to swim so they don't drown. You teach them what is good, what is bad. Say thank you, don't steal. Like, we are teaching them how the world works so that they can thrive and survive in life, in their environment. And it's the exact same thing with our immune cells. The older immune cells that have lived in your body, they've understood what the situation is, communicate with the new cells to tell them how to behave. And this is really important, guys, when you are actually experiencing a lot of severe symptoms, not even severe, but if you're having symptoms, this is important to understand. And particularly if you do have an autoimmune disease currently. Because now your new immune cells that are being born every single minute are getting this information from your older cells to say, this is a hostile environment. This is a war zone. You need to be on high alert. Like, you need to react because there's a lot of danger. You're being born into Second World War Germany, like, you know, fight to look after this person, to get them to survive. And that's not what we want. We need our cells to communicate different messages to our new cells being produced, to the babies, to the fresh ones, so that those cells are actually born happy, healthy, friendly cells and are not attacking. We want those cells to be born into an environment where they can chill on the beach with a pina colada or on a hammock, you know, and feel relaxed and only react when there's a need to react. So this is incredibly important. Your every single minute, new immune cells are being born. And are they happy, friendly cells that are going to communicate messages of health and like friendliness, or is it diseased cells already that are on high alert, that are prone to inflammation, that are going to start producing antibodies, that are going to attack the body because it feels that everything is the enemy, because that's what it's been told. So every minute you have the ability to change your health, to support your immune system. Every minute of 2022, you have the ability to change your immune system. Now, there's certain things, as I mentioned, that we can do to boost, to rejuvenate our immune system. And again, eat the rainbow, guys. I cannot reiterate that enough. We aim for, I like to tell my clients, a minimum of 30 different kinds of whole foods. When we talk about whole foods, it's fruits and vegetables. It's nothing processed. We want to eat about 30 a week. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like, how do I get 30 in? And I promise you it's not that hard. In my Health Gap program, I actually have a printout to show you how you can get 30 in one day. One day. And you're still eating your beef and your chicken and all that kind of thing. But in one day, you can get 30. Now, I don't expect everybody to get 30 in. I'm just saying it is very possible. I average about 55 varieties a week. It wasn't always that way. And I've got a really cool system to help me track that, that actually makes it really, really fun. Like, this is one of my favorite parts about my whole health journey, is actually incorporating more whole foods and like eating the rainbow. It's super, super, super fun. It's not difficult. It's not time consuming. It actually makes being in the kitchen a lot more fun. So those are things that I work with you on when we work privately, to see how we can do that. But like I say, you want to aim for 30 whole foods a week. And then there are some supplements that will help you to rejuvenate your immune system. I do recommend taking extra vitamin C. Even though we get it from food, we're not going to get enough from food. Unfortunately, our nutrition in the food has decreased a little bit. So I do encourage to take more vitamin C. I'm not going to say exactly how much, because again, I don't know what your situation is, what your kidney health is like, all that kind of thing that plays into it, but increasing your vitamin C intake. I personally take between 2,000 and 4,000 milligrams a day. That's just for me. My lifestyle factors are different, everything. I recommend taking vitamin D as well. And again, it depends what your situation is. I personally take 5,000 milligrams of vitamin D a day. If I'm sick, it ends up being a little bit more. But that's your vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. I encourage people to take zinc. Zinc citrate is very good. Zinc glycinate is very good. It depends on the form of the vitamin as well, as some are not as easily absorbed by the body. Another one that is incredible for the immune system, and give it like 5 years and everybody's going to be freaking out about it the same way that you do with vitamin C. It's called quercetin, and this is the game changer for your immune communication, for that immunorejuvenation, is quercetin. It is like, if you can get your hands on it, it depends where you are. In the States, there's a lot of, it's quite freely available. In South Africa, you also get it, but it's not in a whole bunch of supplements. You'll find it, you will find it, but you just need to have a look. It's not as sort of readily available as most of them are, but it's definitely available. Just have a look. You just need to ask somebody. So quercetin, incredibly powerful. And then something called curcumin. And curcumin is the pigment, it's the phytonutrient found in turmeric that actually makes the turmeric orange. And that is amazing for inflammation, to calm your inflammation and to help rejuvenate your immune system. So those are my top tips for you with the immune system, is to look at those. And I've got it here. For anybody who's in South Africa, we have blends. I launched a supplement company last year. Like, I've just run through a whole bunch of different supplements for you to take. It's a mission. I understand this. This is why I created the company in the first place. Because going to the health shop, spending thousands of rand or hundreds of dollars every month and having this whole list of different pills and powders, we just spoke about all the different ones for the gut. Like, it's a lot to keep track of. It gets expensive and it's not always convenient to be taking different pills throughout the day and keeping track of all of that. So what I've done is I've actually created all of this that I'm mentioning to you with the immune system in one powder. It's one scoop that you put into a bottle of water every day, and that is it. And we have one for immunity and inflammation, and we have one for your gut health. They're tiny little tubs like this. This one is for the liver, but we've got for the different blends. And you put one scoop a day, guys, one scoop in here in a bottle of water. Not only are you hydrated, but it's all your vitamins and minerals you need to support your immune system every day. But again, unfortunately, at the moment, it is only available in South Africa. So anybody locally who is watching, the product is called Vitamin G, and you can just jump online or shoot me a text and I can send you the information. But we are planning on launching in the US and Australia before the end of the year. So look out for that. It is a game changer, guys. And thirdly, lastly, because I know we are coming to the end of this, lastly is your liver. You get to look after your liver and your detoxification system. So we've covered the gut and the digestive system. We've covered the immune system and inflammation. And now we're looking at the liver and your detoxification system. These are vital, guys, vital, vital, vital things, systems for you to look at if you have any hope of improving your health, of getting rid of symptoms. You cannot heal your body if there are an imbalance in any three of these. There might be in one, there might be in all three, but it is so worth you taking the time this year to not focus on how am I going to increase my energy? How am I going to lose weight? Ask yourself different questions. Have a different conversation with yourself this year. How can I improve my gut? How can I support my immune system? How can I look after my liver? So as I mentioned, the liver has its own immune system, and that's communicating all the time with like the one in your gut and that sort of thing. And with the liver, it only has a certain capacity to, like, our liver is, in the West, we tend to see the brain and the heart as the master organ, mainly the brain. We think the brain is the master organ, but when we look from a more Eastern medicine perspective, the liver is the general, the liver is the master organ. It's life-giving, it keeps us alive. If your liver shuts down, like, we're in big trouble, because then we can't eliminate any toxins, and there's constantly toxins in our body. Now, the thing is, there's sort of three phases to detoxification. Number one is determined by your genetics. And this is important, guys. Number one is going to be determined by your genetics. Phase two is influenced and determined by your diet and lifestyle and your environment. And phase three of detoxification actually takes place in your gut. And that is also determined by your diet and lifestyle and environment. And we need all three of those phases to be working properly. So I know, like, genetically, because I did some testing, I have a bit of an issue in my phase one detoxification. So I need support daily. I do need a bit of extra liver support. And about 25% of the population have this issue. And all that means is, if you think of like a doorway, an arch, and a bunch of people are going through this arch, like, if it's quite big, you can fit quite a few people through there. So like our liver, our detox pathway has these arches where all the toxins are filtering through. But now, unfortunately, genetically, some people who, you know, like me, we don't have this arch, this opening. We have openings like this. So all of a sudden, a lot less toxins can get through every day, and it kind of bottlenecks. So we need a bit of extra support to help our system. So whether you have, pathways like this, openings like this, or openings like this, we have such an overload of toxins. And if it's like this, you can still very much get bottlenecked. And when our liver cannot handle the amount of toxins that are coming at it, it starts to store it. And water-soluble toxins are stored mainly in our joints because our liver's smart. It's like, how can I store it in places away from the vital organs to like keep the body safe? Let's put it in the joints. And that's why you can get very inflamed joints and experience a lot of joint pain. If you have joint pain, you need to look at your liver. Like, what is my toxic load right now? And it's also why often for people who live a very sedentary life, the moment they start exercising, they actually start to feel a little bit worse the first couple of days, because now with that movement, starting to release the toxins into the bloodstream. So we need to make sure when we release it, we actually have the capability to get it out of the liver, out of the body, or through the liver, out of the body before it's reabsorbed. The other place that our fat-soluble toxins are stored are in your fat cells. And that's normally around your abdomen. And like, this is really important when we talk about toxins and the immune system as well, the gut, the inflammation. A lot of people who are struggling with weight gain and not able to lose weight, it's not because you have excess fat. It's not because you eat too much. Like, weight loss is not about calories in versus calories out, like we were always told it was. You could be eating a really healthy diet and still not lose the weight, and you could be exercising and not losing the weight because your liver is so backed up that it is storing all the toxins in your fat cells. So a lot of the excess weight we carry around is inflammation and toxins. And that is why when I sorted out my gut and got rid of the inflammation and started looking after my liver, the weight fell off because it wasn't fat that I had to burn. It was toxins and inflammation I had to get rid of. And my body was able to do that when I supported it. And this is one of the key things I want you guys to understand through this whole thing. As you go through your year, like, shift your focus from weight loss. It's not about weight loss. If this is a concern for you, because I know it's a huge concern for most people in my community, shift your focus onto how can I improve my gut health? How can I support my liver? How can I strengthen my immune system? How can I get rid of that inflammation? Because that is when you are going to see a change. When we get rid of the toxins, when we get rid of the inflammation, we get rid of the inflammation in our joints as well, because it's systemic. Inflammation doesn't stay localized in one place anymore. Unfortunately, it should. When it's effective, it's like acute, but we don't live with acute inflammation. Most of us are living with chronic inflammation, which becomes systemic. So that is something really important to understand about your liver. So in like phase 2 detoxification, what happens is our liver will attach certain compounds to the toxins to make them less toxic or non-toxic in order for our body to eliminate it. We can't pee or poop out these toxins when they are toxic. Like, we can't do that. So part of our liver's job is to turn them into like a safer form and then eliminate it. And these compounds, these chemicals that we need to do that, our liver does produce them naturally, but not enough to keep up with our toxic load. Did you know that most women will be exposed to over 200 chemicals by the time they leave the house in the morning? Every single day. And it might sound insane, but think of like the body lotion you put on, the deodorant you put on, the perfume you put on, the toothbrush you use or the toothpaste you use, the body wash that you're using, the makeup you're putting on, then you put face moisturizer, and then you put a serum and a face moisturizer and then a body lotion and all this stuff. Then your makeup, like over 200 chemicals. Then you're having coffee that's got pesticides and mold and all that sort of stuff. Then you're having a bowl of cereal of like honey nut Cheerios or something, like toxins. You might have some fruit and some berries that are covered in pesticides. By the time you've left the house in the morning, you've had 200 exposure to 200 toxins have been absorbed into your body. And your poor liver's like, I've been awake for 30 minutes. Like, give me a break, please. No wonder it's suffering. No wonder we have chronic inflammation and toxic overload. So as these chemicals are coming into the body, our liver, like, it gets into the bloodstream. We've got leaky gut now, or it's absorbed into our skin. It takes 20 seconds to get from our skin into our blood. These are circulating, and all the blood in our body passes through the liver once every hour. So about 24 times in a day, all the blood in your body is going to circulate through the liver. So 24 times your body has a chance, your liver has a chance to take some toxins, but how many times do you think it's going to, like, it's constantly, it doesn't stop. How many toxins do you think it can actually absorb? And then once it doesn't, it stores, as I mentioned. So what happens is it takes these toxins, it puts like a molecule on it to convert it, and then we poop it out, or we pee it out, or we spit it out, or whatever the case is. Sometimes we breathe a lot of it out as well when it's converted. But when that happens, like, we've got molecules in our liver that do that. And then we can support it through food. When we eat cruciferous vegetables, things like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, even horseradish is a cruciferous veggie, and you can just jump online. I do have resources that I hand out to clients that we go through in the programs of what your cruciferous veggies are. But the more cruciferous veggies you have, the more like glutathione and sulforaphane and things you are going to eat, and that's the chemical in phase 2 detoxification that makes this non-toxic. So yes, it's produced naturally, but not enough to actually support our body. So that is why phase 2 is influenced by our lifestyle. First of all, like how many are coming in and how much of like cruciferous veggies we eat. Another really good thing for your liver in terms of food is anything that is bitter. So things like radicchio, your collard greens, your dandelion greens, it's bitter and it's quite like an acquired taste if we're not used to it, but the more you eat it, the more you're going to start enjoying it. And that's another thing, actually, like the bacteria in our mouth communicates with the bacteria in our gut. So that's why when you also like feel your taste changing, it's the bacteria in your gut as well. Not just the bacteria in your gut, it's the bacteria in your mouth as well. And what you're eating actually sends messages down to your gut. I just thought of this now, it was really interesting to actually tell the gut what to expect, what's coming. Is there like a sugary food coming? Is there like a fat coming in? And then the body knows, like, can prepare itself for how to digest this. And that's why like chewing gum can confuse the body very much, because like your gut is getting ready for digestion and nothing's coming in. You're eating, like you're chewing this sweet gum, and your gut bugs are thinking the sweetness, this food's coming, and it never comes. But anyway, that's a bit of a side note. I just thought it's interesting. The bacteria in your mouth communicate just like those whales to the bacteria in your digestive system in your gut. So back to the liver, phase 2 is then influenced by your food. So we actually want to make sure we're eating cruciferous vegetables every single day, whether it's like a cup of broccoli or a cup of cauliflower. I end up getting probably about 3 servings a day. And I eat cauliflower every single day, and there's such cool ways to eat it. Like I actually put cauliflower into my smoothies, which is amazing. And a lot of people are like, are you crazy? Cauliflower tastes and smells awful. But when you put it into a smoothie, it makes it so creamy. You don't taste the cauliflower. So there's like 1,000,001 ways you can use it. We know cauliflower is like the king vegetable now. I saw a meme the other day that said, if cauliflower can be a pizza, then you, my friend, can be absolutely anything. And it's so true. So there's great ways to get your cruciferous vegetables in every day, and that's really going to support your liver, as well as your bitter greens, your bitter foods support the liver. And then what happens with phase 3 detoxification in the gut is basically, like, as I mentioned, this, when the liver converts this to a non-toxic form, it kind of, if you think of gathering the trash in your house, you're going to go to this bin and that bin, and you're going to grab all the trash together and you're going to put it by the stairs or by the door, and then somebody else is going to come and take that trash and take it away. So that's basically what the liver's doing. It's labeling everything. This is trash, this must go, and it puts it at the door and it labels it. It's got a little tag on there with this compound, this glutathione, everything, this little tag that says this is trash. And then it leaves the liver. But unfortunately, there's bacteria in the gut when we have this gut dysbiosis, that kind of goes with the scissors and snaps off that little label that says this is trash. So instead of it, when it's in your colon, getting like leaving out in your poop, while it's in the colon, this bacteria is like, snip off that label, and then these toxins just get reabsorbed. So you need to be looking, that's why, you know, phase 3 detoxification takes place in the gut, and we need to make sure our gut bacteria is able to handle that. We don't have that dysbiosis, we've got the right bacteria. So I hope you guys are seeing this connection and how all these systems are linked. Your gut, your liver, your immune system, they're constantly talking to each other. So if there's an imbalance in one, if there's a dysbiosis, that bad bacteria, it's going to affect your immune system. I mean, it's going to affect your liver. If you have leaky gut, it's going to affect your immune system. Like, all of these things are linked, guys. And then the last thing I want to talk about is when we dealing with toxic overload. Now, there's so many internal toxins being produced as well. And things like hormones. Hormones become toxins. Once our body produces them, we use it for what we need. Our hormones are just our communication system. That's all it is. A hormone is a messenger. So once it's like sent the message or delivered the message, that guy's no longer necessary. We need to get rid of it. Otherwise, he's going to be running around giving that message to too many people, to too many other cells, and it's going to cause havoc. We don't need that. So things like your estrogen, there's a very common thing happening, and that's called estrogen dominance, when we have too much estrogen. And it's not because our body's producing too much. It's definitely not, because we have so much cortisol, so much stress, that our body's most likely not producing too much estrogen, but there's too much floating around in our body. And that is because once the message has been delivered, those hormones, that estrogen needs to go through the liver, get tagged, and be eliminated from the body. But it's not getting a chance. It can't fit through that archway because we overload it. The liver can't deal with it. So now you've got all this estrogen floating around the body causing chaos because our liver can't get rid of it. And what happens when we have high estrogen? We have increased PMS. We have breast tenderness. We have mood swings. We have increased, highly increased risk of breast cancer, of ovarian cancer. So we need to be looking at getting rid of our excess estrogen and our excess, any hormones in the body. And this is a huge problem for people who consume alcohol frequently. And I don't mean a bottle a night. Like, a bottle a night is a lot. But even if you're having 2 glasses a night, even if you're having 3 glasses twice a week, those are excess toxins coming in that your body can't, like, your liver is working so hard to get rid of that alcohol that is not able to deal with the internal toxins, is not able to deal with the toxins that are even being produced by the gut, that's leaking through your permeable gut into the bloodstream and getting to your brain. Like, it's actually just a huge shit show, guys. Like, we need to look after the liver. We need to give it some support, because I'm getting exhausted even just thinking about all of this. So that is why we need to look at your alcohol intake, your toxin intake. And we do that when we go through my program called Health Gap that is launching in March. I actually walk you through a really deep dive into how to get rid of the toxins in your environment. We look at in your skincare products, we look at everything, and it's not about doing a whole overall. I don't tell you to chuck everything out in your house, but I actually walk you through understanding these things and where you can, like, purchase, how you go about replacing and creating a less toxic environment for yourself in a way that doesn't, like, break the bank, in a way that doesn't cause more stress, because when we're stressed, we can't heal. So anything I do with you guys, I do so that you do not have to deal with excess stress. Like, we want to make this as easy as possible. It's going to have its challenges. Any lifestyle change you make is going to come with challenges, but we want to see how, make it as easy as possible for you guys. So some of the things that we do for the liver that supports the liver, as I mentioned, is the cruciferous vegetables, your, oh my goodness, bitter greens, your supplements that are helpful is things like glutathione, which we find naturally in broccoli, but a glutathione supplement is helpful. Things like DIM broccoli extract is really powerful in eliminating those excess estrogens. Dandelion root is a great herb. Milk thistle is a great herb. And then in terms of food, pomegranates, amazing. I do like a 4-ounce shot of pomegranate juice every day. It's also a really nice way if you are battling to get your water in. If you don't like the taste of water, taking like 4 ounces of pomegranate juice and chucking that in the water to change the flavor is a great way to increase your hydration. So your pomegranates is an amazing food for your liver. Papaya, dragon fruit, particularly the pink dragon fruit, amazing for your liver. And then beets are really powerful. And if you do, just a side note on the glutathione, if you're taking glutathione, it's really helpful to combine it with vitamin C to increase the absorption of glutathione and the effectiveness. And again, all those things I mentioned, well, besides the beets and things, that's all in our liver rescue, the vitamin G liver rescue. For anybody in South Africa, again, that's the one that I actually have here. I've combined the immunity and the liver in this bottle, and that's my drink for the day. So if you are in South Africa, you can get your hands on that. Incredibly powerful to help eliminate those toxins, help you lose weight, support your PMS symptoms, clear up acne, all that kind of thing. So has this been landing for you guys? Has this been helpful so far? Are you getting value from this? Awesome. I just want to check in the chat here. I know you posted speeding up the metabolism, but not enough to get in shape. All right, so Renee, for you, it seems like exercise is a big one and your metabolism. Okay, so I'm going to jump in and answer that for you now. Carol, if there's anything specific that you want me to jump into, also please let me know in the chat and I'll cover it quickly. But from everything that I've shared, like the biggest things I want you guys to take away with, just to condense everything, eat the rainbow. Number one tip this year, like focus on eating the rainbow. It's going to benefit all 3 systems we just spoke about. Out of all the things to remove and that kind of thing, I really want to encourage you guys to get off of gluten as much as possible. And it might take a bit of time. If you need help, like I have an incredible substitution, because I love bread, I love pasta, I love all that stuff, but it's just, I can't eat it. It's not worth it for me. I suffer. Like if I eat too much of it, I'll spend 4 days in bed. I won't be able to get up, and it's not worth the effects that it has on my body. So I've spent the last few years figuring out how to live gluten-free. So like there's so many options that I have for you, whether you're in the US, South Africa, like I've lived all over, I've got clients all over, so I know what you guys have for substitutes. So if you need help with that, like let me know. There's amazing pasta substitutes, bread substitutes, all this kind of thing. Like it gets to be easy. You don't have to let go of all your favorite foods, and don't think of these things as like what you're giving up, guys. If you think of, oh my gosh, I can't have pizza, I can't have bread, I can't have all this stuff, like you're going to feel really depressed and you're not going to want to eat, like you're not going to want to stop. But you need to look at it as like what you're gaining. How much energy, how much mental clarity, how much acne is going to clear up, like how much joint pain, all the life that you are gaining. Think of that liver, think of that immune system that I explained to you that's so exhausted. And think how much appreciation it's going to have for you when you stop eating that gluten. It's going to be like, thank you for giving me a chance to rest. I worked so hard for you. Like, thank you so much. And it's going to reward you for giving it love. It's going to reward you for supporting it by giving you incredible health. You may be living again at a 4, 5, 6 out of 10. You need to be at a 10 out of 10. I want you to be at a 10 out of 10. So these are the 3 areas you get to work on. You're so welcome, Renee. I'm going to finish up really soon here. Thank you, Carol. I'm glad this has been supportive for you. I'm going to finish up in just a minute. So eating the rainbow again, number 1. Number 2, cut out gluten. Number 3, recognize, like be honest with yourself about your alcohol intake and minimize that as much as possible. And I'm not telling you to get off of it completely. If you enjoy an occasional glass of wine or whatever the case is, it's fine. I'm not here to tell you not to drink. Like, you're an adult and you make your own decisions, but I want you to become aware of the impact that it's actually having on your health. Make an informed decision. If you're going to continue to drink and drink frequently, like, know what it's actually doing to your body. And unfortunately, we are not going to heal if we are consuming alcohol frequently. And like, I have wine, I have ciders. I haven't for a long time now. Like, I've been going alcohol free with the family and everything and seeing how my health is changing. But I don't drink excessively, and particularly after knowing everything that it does to the body. Like, I can't imagine going crazy and binge drinking and all that kind of stuff, but everybody to their own. All I'm saying is make an informed decision. Be like aware of what is happening to your body and be honest with yourself about how you feel your drinking could be affecting you. Another thing that I forgot to mention when we're talking about the liver is tied so closely to our emotions. If you are feeling anxious, if you are feeling angry, if you are feeling frustrated, you need to look at your liver. Again, when we look from an Eastern perspective, every organ in the body is attached to an emotion. And the emotion for the liver is anger and frustration. And I know for myself, when I feel my anxiety starting to increase, or I feel like I'm getting a lot more irritable, the first thing I do is like, okay, how's my liver doing? What have I changed in my routine the last month that could be affecting my liver? And 9 out of 10 times, looking back, I can see what I did that's causing this. And I know, okay, 10-day liver, like TLC time, do a bit of a detox. Let's get that liver back on track. Do it for 10 days. Within 3 days, my mood is better. Within 3 days, my mental clarity is better. So our liver affects our emotions dramatically. And when we're consuming a lot of alcohol, we don't think of that's the reason for our anxiety. We don't think that our bloating is attached to our anxiety. We automatically associate it with external factors. It's because my job is hectic. It's because I've got young kids. It's because, I don't know, my partner and I are arguing. But have you ever thought that the anxiety is being caused by your liver and your gut? And if you had to fix those things, it wouldn't take away the busy kids. It wouldn't take away the relationship problems that you may be having. It's not going to take away the financial stresses, but you're not going to be feeling as anxious about those things. The way you react to those things are different. I've lived this, guys. I feel this. I live this all the time. Like, I go through things now that I was dealing with last year. I have more on my plate now than I had last year, but I don't have the same anxiety because I've looked at my alcohol intake. I've looked at my liver. I've looked at my gut health, and I manage it better. I'm not saying there's no anxiety, but I'm going to tell you now, it's about 95% better than it's ever been. So again, alcohol, gluten, eat the rainbow. Last one, get support, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going to be straight up with you guys now. If you could do these things yourself, like, you would have done them by now. So get support, whether it's through a coach, whether it's through a Facebook group, whether it's through a local, I don't know, maybe it's like a hiking community or something that's of interest. Maybe it's a cooking class locally. Get support, get accountability, talk to a friend, like find out if they want to join you on a new program or something like that, but get support and get accountability. Now, there are other factors that obviously play into being healthy. And Renee, it's like you mentioned, it is exercise. It is things like stress management and sleep. Sleep is so crazy important, but we don't have time to jump into all of that now. Otherwise, I would sit here with you guys for like 7 days going through all this stuff. And we don't have time. I would love to sit here for the next 5 hours, but I know we've all got really busy lives and jobs and all that kind of thing. And I appreciate all your time up to this point. I really hope it's been super helpful for you. So things like stress and sleep are really important. And I do run a book club. It's a free book club. And this is where we actually go through these kind of things we learn together through books. And I do like some spot coaching with you. So if you're interested, like let me know and I'll send you links for that book club. But those would be my top tips for how to improve your health, not just in 2022, start in 2022, start now, and then see in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months, how your life has changed. Again, your life, not just your health, but how your life has changed by actually focusing on these 3 areas. Renee, I'll actually send you a PM or a DM after this with access to the book club. Hey, Steph here. I hope you absolutely loved that training and got so much value out of it. Because it was a live training, initially I ended up cutting a bit at the beginning and cutting a bit at the end because I want to take out the fluff and just get straight to the point and give you the information that you need. I'm not about wasting time over here. So I would love to hear your feedback and what's worked for you in the event or from the information you learned. What I wanted to share with you is that if you had to go and implement absolutely everything I've shared with you in this training, I have no doubt that you will be massively successful. If you went and committed your time and your own efforts, finding your own resources, downloading different substitutes for your gluten, your dairy, finding recipes, getting a meal plan and implementing that, going ahead and sourcing your different supplements and things for that targeted support, and you started implementing everything I just taught you, I have absolutely no doubt that you will be massively successful, guys. Like everything I've just taught you is proven methods. So go ahead, take action, download what you need to download, invest your time, invest your efforts, like find the resources you need and get started, because you will see results. I have absolutely no doubt in that. And if that was your only option, I would say go ahead, like it's a worthy feat to take on. But what if that was not your only option? What if I was able to help you implement in tiny, like small baby steps that is almost unnoticeable or effortless in your daily life, yet produced massive, massive, massive results? What if I could save you time, energy, effort, frustration, all this kind of thing, what works, what doesn't work, like wading through the different, like what works and what doesn't? I can save you all that time. And that is an offer I have for you guys today. I have created a program called Health Gap, a mentorship program, where I break down step by step the exact things you need to do, what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, what supplements to take, all this kind of thing. It's broken down for you in tiny, tiny, tiny steps. This is 30 to 60 minutes a week that it is going to take you to transform your life, to transform your health. Now, the incredible part about this program is it's not a guessing game. I actually provide you, I take you through testing. We do genetic testing to see what you are at risk for, what your body needs. We look at micronutrient testing to find out exactly what your body is lacking. So we're not adding in different things with trial and error. We actually know exactly what your body is asking for, and we can provide it with that. Now, one of my favorite parts about this entire program, because in the past, I've run 6-week programs, I've run 8-week programs, I've run 3-month programs. And even though my clients are seeing incredible results, within 6 months, every single time without fail, within 6 months of them finishing the program, they are back on the phone with me asking for continued support because they've seen the results, they're feeling incredible. But once the program ends and they lose that support, they tend to fall back into old ways and old patterns. And then the problems they were dealing with originally all start to slowly creep back. And that's why they can't wait to jump on a call with me and be like, Steph, help me. Like, I can feel myself repeating old patterns. My health is starting to decline. Like, I need support. I want to look and feel as incredible as I did when we were working together. And this is because within 6 weeks, within 8 weeks, we implement incredible things. You see results. But it has not been long enough to actually flip the switch into making those habits automatic, to ingraining it into your lifestyle. So what I've done with Health Gap, it is a 12-month mentorship program. But what I really, really love about the program is every single module, every step that you are going to take is completely self-paced. So you are going to go at your own pace and implement things as you are ready to implement them. Now, this may take you 4 months to complete. It may take you 6 months. It may even take you 8 months. But no matter how long it takes you to implement these things, you have access to me for an entire 12 months. Not just me, but my team. So every single month you will get personalized coaching with me, group coaching so that you get support from everybody, as well as access to live Q&A, Ask the Expert sessions every single month, regardless of how fast you work through the modules. And in this way, we are able to make sure that we have broken patterns that keep showing up in your life. Because it's not about relying on willpower. Willpower doesn't work. It's about recognizing what doesn't work in your life, what's not serving you, figuring out why we carry around those beliefs and those patterns, and actually breaking them so that it's no longer, we're not at any risk of falling back into them when we have broken them and installed new patterns, new beliefs, new systems, and created an actual lifestyle that you are in love with every single day. Now, even though this is self-paced, we do your testing. We have private sessions every month to take the Health Gap structure, the framework, and customize it even more to your lifestyle needs and demands, to your body's needs and your body's demands. Guys, there is absolutely no other program that I have ever come across that is as in-depth and as personalized as this mentorship program. So there is a link below this for you to book a free call with me where we can have a chat and see if Health Gap is the right fit for you. But if you are serious about taking control of your health outcomes, about learning how to fix your own body and feel better, look better, and just live better than you ever have before, without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling restricted, then hop on a call with me. This entire program is customized to you, and you have a year to work through it and to get continued support from me and my team. This is an incredible, incredible program, and I'm so proud of it. Like, I just want to shout from the rooftops how in love with this program I am, because it works. So hop on a call with me. There is a link below this video, and I cannot wait to chat to you and see if we are a good fit to work together. I would love to welcome you into Health Gap with open arms and spend the next year working closely with you to create the lifestyle that you love, that is effortless, and that has you looking, living, and feeling better than you ever have in your entire life. Chat soon.